I just wanna laugh.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the footbas podcast. Today we are going to do the top 5 teams that can compete with the Warriors so far in 2021. We're going to actually just hop right into it with number 5. Number 5 is going to be the Miami Heat. They have Bam Adebayo, who I think, well, first of all, I think that they have the same good players as the Warriors. I think when they play each other, they can compete with them. They have Bam Adebayo, they have Kyle Lowry, they have all these good players. I mean, I love point guards personally, and I think, well, that's why I did the video on best point guards in the league. But, yeah, I just really like point guards. Personally, my favorite position, I am a point guard, personally. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, they also have Jimmy Butler. Can't forget about him. He's really good. I just think that they can really compete with the Warriors. When they play each other, I don't know if they have played each other yet, but I don't think they have. But when they do play each other, it's going to be a very good game, but I think the Miami Heat will pull it out, at least one of the 2 games that they play. Number 4 is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. So the Brooklyn Nets, I don't think they're as good as they were last year without Kyrie Irving, obviously. I think Kyrie Irving was probably the second best player on their team behind Kevin Durant. I think James Harden was third. But, yeah, I just think they have a lot of great veteran players on their team. And if Kyrie Irving comes back, they're going to be really good. And they already were when Kyrie Irving was there. But Kevin Durant, obviously the best mid-range shooter in the game. One of the best ever, in my opinion. But I just think, obviously, number 2, I think, is Kyrie Irving. He's just really good three-point shooter, very underrated, in my opinion. And James Harden's, I think, is a little overrated. But Blake Griffin is very underrated, especially this year. He hasn't had such a great year, but last year he had a really good year. I was looking at his stats, and I was watching some of him this year, and he looks just really good. And James Harden didn't look great, not gonna lie. But, so yeah, and I think they have a lot of weapons that can compete with the Warriors. Like Kevin Durant can guard Andrew Wiggins. Kyrie Irving is basically the same as Poole. And they don't really have a Curry. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I didn't put them higher in the list. Or better. I don't know. Like top 3. You know what I mean? Number 3 is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. I just think that the Bucks, with Giannis, obviously, the Warriors don't have, like, a big man besides Andrew Wiggins. So I think Giannis, when they play each other, is going to have an insane game. He might drop 50, I don't know. But Curry will make up for that, obviously. I mean, they have Pat Connaughton, who's very underrated. They have Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. Both of those are underrated, in my opinion. They just have a lot of very valuable assets on their team. Brook Lopez, I think, is pretty overrated. He's been hurt most of the year. Only thing about the Bucks is, I said this a couple episodes back, and they're pretty injury-prone, and I can't think that that's gonna stop. I don't see a reason to believe that that's going to stop, in my opinion. And just to let you know, this is going to be a pretty short podcast today. You guys are probably wondering why you're doing the football ones longer. I don't know. Probably just because I know a little more about football. I know more of the players. But the NBA, I'm trying to get more into it. I got the NBA League Pass. And it was very good. It's been very good. I got it mainly for this podcast so I can know more, because I was thinking about making a football, basketball kind of mix. So, yeah, so that's why I really ended up getting it, so I can learn more about the players and how they play and stuff like that, and I can bring it into the podcast. But for now, we're going to move on to number 2, and this may shock some of you. It's going to be the Chicago Bulls. Actually, yeah, the Chicago Bulls. I mean, they're just really, really good. They have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, Lonzo Ball. I mean, Lonzo Ball's a little overrated in my opinion, but Nikola Vucevic is underrated. Zach LaVine's pretty underrated in my opinion, and DeMar DeRozan's pretty underrated. But Caruso, he's pretty overrated in my opinion. But I just think they can. It's kind of like the Nets a little bit. They just got a lot, like their big three. Yeah, and I think Zach LaVine will keep up with Draymond Green a lot. But the only problem is when I haven't really seen of a player besides Caruso, which I don't think is very good, that can keep Klay Thompson. So hopefully they don't play him when Klay Thompson comes back, because I think he will be a nightmare in that game for the Bulls, just because Klay Thompson's obviously really good, and if he just came back from injury, then maybe not, actually. If he just came back from injury, obviously coaches are going to be a little more on the safe side when putting their players in right after a pretty big injury that kept them out mainly last year, and hopefully not this year, because the Warriors are almost unstoppable with him. But yeah, we are going to go into the number 1. And I think you guys probably know this based on last night's game for the Warriors and just all the other games that they've played together. I think they played like 3 or 2. I mean, there's been a lot. But that's going to be the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns, best record in the league, I think. But I think the Warriors are better, in my opinion. But Devin Booker, Chris Paul. Obviously, I said Chris Paul in the top 5 point guards video that Chris Paul is the smartest point guard in the league, smartest player in the league when delivering the ball. And Steph Curry's good like that too, but Chris Paul beats him in that aspect. And that, I think, is the reason they got beat. The Warriors got beat, is because of Chris Paul. Devin Booker has had an okay year this year. He's had some big games, had some pretty bad games. But I just think that the Suns are second best in the league. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. Even though they have the best record in the league, record doesn't show everything normally. But yeah, I just think that I mean, the Suns also have Jay Crowder, who's very underrated. They have DeAndre Ayton, who's very underrated. They just have a lot of star power on that team that I think that has brought them over the top against Golden State. That is why I think they have won. I think they've played like 3 games together. It's been a lot. But I think that, I mean, I don't think they'll probably play any more games. I mean, I think 3 is like the limit or something like that. But I don't know. But I just think Chris Paul is the reason the Warriors have lost 2 out of 3 games or whatever. How many ever they've played. I'm not 100% sure on that, obviously. But I just think Chris Paul is just better in that aspect than Stephen Curry. And, I mean, I put Stephen Curry at number 1 for point guards. But Chris Paul, if I do top 5 smartest point guards in the league, which I don't think, I mean, that's kind of an odd video to do. I don't really know. But I just think Chris Paul would be number 1 in that. But actually, we're not done with this video yet. We're not done with this episode of the podcast yet. I want it to be, I like having the podcast a little over 10 minutes, if I can. But we're actually going to do honorable mentions. So the teams that I was kind of debating against to go in the top 5 but didn't actually make it, we're going to show those now. We're going to do 3 honorable mentions. Number 3 is actually going to be the Sacramento Kings. I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be top 5 point guard, maybe top 3 in a couple years. Donovan Mitchell is just so good. Played for Baylor, won the NCAA tournament with Baylor, and I think that energy and expectation is on Davion Mitchell. I think he will return that. They have Buddy Hield, Darren Fox. They have all the weapons because, well, actually, I think the Sacramento Kings have 3 great players: Buddy Hield, Donovan Mitchell, Darren Fox. The Warriors, however, this is why I didn't put the Kings in the top 5. They have Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Curry. So they have 5 great players. Kings only have 3 or 4 with Halliburton, if you want to call him, like, good. But, that's why I didn't put him in the top 5, because who is going to guard, like, Andrew Wiggins, because they don't have much height on that team. So that's the reason I didn't put him in the top 5. Number 2 is going to be the Portland Trailblazers with Damian Lillard, obviously leading the pack for that team. They also have CJ McCollum, who's pretty underrated. They have Nurkic, and they had just a lot of good players on that team, and I think it will start to pay off in a very short time. I think they will make it to the conference championship a couple years if they still have Damian. I don't think they will, in my opinion. But CJ McCollum might lead the pack. You never know. The only reason I didn't put him in the top 5 is just because Stephen Curry's a better point guard, in my opinion. And they don't have very much height besides Nurkic, and Andrew Wiggins taller. He can, Andrew Wiggins can jump. He just, I don't know why I recognize that. I just think that Nurkic will not be able to guard Wiggins because Wiggins will have a great game when they play each other. Number 1 for the honorable mention list, I'm going to have the Toronto Raptors, actually, over Portland. I think that Fred VanVleet can keep up with Stephen Curry in that game. Stephen Curry will have more points, but Fred VanVleet, they have a very good point guard in Fred VanVleet. But the only reason I didn't put him on the top 5 is because of the Heat, actually. I was debating on whether or not I do top 5 for the Heat or for the Raptors. So, I don't really know. But they also have Scotty Barnes, who's going to be a very good player, coming up soon. And yeah, I just think that they almost made the top 5. But the Heat are just better, in my opinion. That was my big debate for the top 5. That was pretty hard to figure out the top 5 teams that can keep up with the Warriors, but that's who I picked, top 5. And hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the footbas podcast, and I'll see you next Friday. And I may start doing it more than every Friday, but we'll see. I gotta keep doing every Friday, and then maybe I'll get a rhythm going, and we'll start doing it more. Maybe 2 days a week, 3 days a week. I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. And I hope you guys have a great day, and see ya.